heard you describe so-called darkness moment in your life. To be brief, the episode was you went to a casino in Atlantic City to try your luck in order to pay off a $6,000 debt. Yes. But however, things turned out against your expectation, and eventually you don't even have money to pay the highway toll and broke down in front of the toll collector. What did you get out of the experience?
Not the $2.25 it cost me to get through.
Really?
So, it was a true story. It was a Friday afternoon, and I had to make payroll the next Monday, and I knew I didn't have enough money in the checking account, the amount of checks that I had outstanding versus what was in my account balance. And so on that Friday afternoon at 2 p.m. at 1:59 p.m.
You
I went to the
remember
bank.
So clearly?
I took everything out. I think I took about $1,000 out of the checking account, and I needed to come home with at least $4,000. And I took the $1,000 out and drove up to Atlantic City, and I started playing blackjack. And anybody who's ever gambled before, I had the money, and I started losing the money, and I was getting worried. And all of a sudden, I started coming back with the money. And the next thing you know, I was up like $4,500. So I had all the money that I needed to cover the checks, and I was like, great. I was just about to leave, and then I said, you know what? I'm going to play one more hand.
Oh, come on.
And so I put I needed $4,000. I put $500 down for one more hand. And then, of course, the dealer gave me 2 8s. And then so I had to split the card. So I had to put another 500 up. And then the dealer gave me a 3. And then I had, of course, to double down. And then I was like, ah. And then I ended up losing the hand. And then I came back. It's a classic story of watching basically lost everything. And in driving home after that trip, I didn't have enough money for the toll. And I remember sitting there. And when you could say you're broke. And there's one thing to be broke and out of money. It's another thing to be out of money to the point where there's not even the change in your car is like there wasn't enough to cover a $2.25 toll. And so I remember the toll booth operator coming out, taking my license, copying my license plate down, and asking me to, I had to send a ticket in. It was the most embarrassing thing in my life. And I remember I went to see my mother after that, and because I actually needed a meal. And my mother's a wonderful woman, but she's not the greatest cook either. And in going to her house was truly the end of the line for me. And I remember walking in her house and asking is because the power of positive, the power of will and belief was so important, and it came through even then. And I remember my mom asking me and saying, how's everything going? You know, how's Under Armour doing? And I remember saying, it's doing fine, Mom, why? And everybody, anything positive you tell someone about your business, they'll tell 2 to 3 people. Anything negative, they'll tell 10 to 12 people. And so the last thing I ever wanted was snowball effect. And I remember I walked out of her house and I didn't ask for anything, and I just said, you know, I'm going to figure it out. I don't know how, but I'm going to figure something out. And after that, I drove right to the post office and I went and checked my P.O. box in my mail. And in my mail that afternoon, I had an institutional check from Georgia Tech University, one of the first schools that I'd sold. They hadn't paid in over a year, and the check, for whatever reason, for $7,000 just came through. And like the amount of self-doubt that led me to that moment of thinking to myself, you know, did I pick the right idea? Have I wasted all this money? Now I'm broke, what am I going to do? And that validation of, you know, opening that envelope and seeing that money there, it was one of those moments that I said to myself, I'll never doubt what I'm doing ever again, and I know I'm on the right path, and I know this is meant to be.
Gladly, it's all the past.
Yes.
Kevin, I heard people said, back to the brand, the company, I heard people say Under Armour is actually a stealth technology company. Would you agree with that?
No question.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about the technology with a focus on your innovative solution?
So we recently made several acquisitions over the last 3 years, establishing what we've coined the phrase connected fitness. And it's the world's largest connected fitness community ever assembled. So today we have over 175 million members, registered users on our connected fitness platform between the 3 apps of Map My Fitness, which is Map My Run, Map My Ride. It's like I'm going to go for a jog or a bike ride. I hit start on my phone. It tracks me, tells me how far, tells me the splits when I go at the different distances. Another one is called MyFitnessPal, which is a food logging nutrition site, and it's one of the largest in the world as well. And then the other company called Endomondo, which is the European version of Map My Fitness. And they all merge in this one product we have called. And the idea here is that I think that a brand's job is to give you things, number one, that you never knew that you needed, and then once you have them, wonder how you ever live without them. And you can think about the simple things in life. And for the older of us out there, is remember life before remote control on a television. Like remember life before we actually had cell phones. And how would you get through the day without making a phone call or seeing your mail?
That's right.
And you can't imagine living without it now. And I think of our own health as a path toward that, a vehicle toward that, where, you know, I can't believe that the, you know, amount of information we have on our most important asset, our own health and fitness, we have the least information about. You know, we rely on, I know more about my car than I do my own body, is that I can go to, I can get in my car and tell me how much gas, how much oil, how much tire pressure. But if you ask me about my own health, I'm relying on the impact or the feedback of a doctor from a doctor's visit I made every 12, 18, or 24 months. And you just have to wonder, like, why do we accept that? Why do we walk around and wait for our bodies to break down and then go see a doctor? And so what we believe is that data is that next great frontier for us, is that data is the new oil of life. And with last year alone having over 2 billion workouts logged into our database, over 8 billion foods logged into our database, it's the largest database of food ever assembled in the history of mankind. We have every country on the planet logging in. And today, even across the 4 apps that we now have, we have over 100,000 downloads happening every single day. Wow. So we believe this is giving us incredible scale to the tune of over 175 million people.
Taiwan, ni hao. Look at this. This is amazing. This is my first time to Taiwan, to Taipei, so I'm excited to be here, and we're going to have a lot of fun today.
一开口嗨翻全场，这一晚新庄体育馆涌进超过5000位球迷，为了一睹 Stephen Curry 的魅力。
他希望
搞笑单膝下跪或是防守时顽皮地抱住对手的腰 ，Curry 笑起来很可爱，被球迷称为“萌神娃娃脸刺客”。外表偶像派，看起来没什么杀伤力，但这几年他在 NBA 缔造很多杀手级的纪录。Curry 连2年夺得 MVP， 这季是全票通过的年度 MVP， 创 NBA 史上第1人。今年更带领勇士队拿下73胜，打破20年前 Michael Jordan 率公牛队72胜的纪录。他可以在球场中央有各队 logo 的地方出手3分球得分，外界因此为 Curry 创造一个新名词 logo shot。不少人说他改变了一整个世代的打球模式。
I can't jump very high, so I had to find a different way to score. But mixing ball handling and shooting seamless, and everything kind of a rhythm to it. And just have an imagination for the things that I can do.
知道自己先天上的弱点 ，Curry 刻意拉远投篮的距离，他打破跳投球队难赢总冠军的刻板印象。
在80、90年代的时候 ，NBA 的篮球是在看2人篮球 （pick and roll 篮球）、1对1篮球，而且是很多的防守重于进攻的想法。现在的篮球变成攻局优于防守，快速的球风、快速的投篮、快速的投外线。都成为现在的风潮，那这个风潮，我觉得就是 Steph Curry 开始引起的。
我出生的时候因为一些意外，所以我的右手没有办法跟正常人一样，所以我从小到大打球都只能靠1只手。
听到小球迷只靠1只手打篮球的故事 ，Curry 立刻起身移开椅子，站着专心听他说，表达自己的认真。
我来帮你先翻译，先不紧张，因为他想说。
小朋友看到大球星紧张到说不出话来 ，Curry 送上拥抱，在全身扭动甩手，像在热身，希望他能放轻松，逗得大家哈哈大笑。这些举动传递了 Curry 的暖男性格，拉近和粉丝的距离。他191公分的身高，在常人充斥的 NBA 世界里，并没有特别优势，更不是肌肉棒子路线， 从亲民的个性到外形，让大家觉得 Curry 和一般人的距离很靠近。
那 Steph Curry 只是他的隐性天分非常的高，那 Michael Jordan 他的显性天分非常的高。Michael Jordan 一看就知道，肌肉像石头一样，跳得特别高，跑得特别快。我觉得 Steph Curry 跟他是完全不一样的人，因为 Steph Curry 代表的是不是 jump man， 而是 every man。Curry
gets ahead of again, no help.Curry again. Here's Curry. Nice pass to Allison, and he rings the bell.
没有惊人爆发力，身材单薄。Curry 高中毕业时没有大学篮球名校给他奖学金，从学生时代到 NBA 殿堂，甚至连运动品牌挑选球星都常常以貌取人，低估了他的实力。但其实 Curry 被盛赞为联盟最佳的眼手协调，很多人更公认 Curry 是史上最强的远距离3分神射手。每天不间断地练投几百颗3分球，甚至上千颗，锻炼出只需要0.4秒的绝快出手。Curry 从小到大的篮球路看似平凡，他用天赋、苦练还有旺盛企图心，持续创下不平凡的 Curry 障碍。这次旋风式来台，他的风采和感染力，留下有为者亦若是的最有力激励。
And Kevin, in terms of management.There are so many things that you are concerned of. What are the things that you would put the majority of your time in?
So it's hard. I like to spend. I mentioned the 4 pillars of Under Armour: product, story, service, team. And if I'm doing it right, I'm really spending my time around those. And it's hard because then all of a sudden you're a public company and you have shareholders and you get pulled from this direction or that direction. But this trip is a great example of it. I get to spend time in hearing from athletes of how they love their product. We get to spend time like now telling the story of Under Armour, something I love. I'm going to spend. I'm going to spend tomorrow in we have our top 6 largest vendors are going to be meeting us tomorrow here in Taiwan, and we're going to go through a review on how are we servicing, how are we really meeting the expectation of our consumer, but also are we being a good partner? Are we being to our vendor base? And that is like, the key for any business is in order for it to be a win for me, you must lose. And I've dealt with people and organizations like that. And the ones that are the best is that, there truly is the ability for a win-win situation. And so what I've found is that when you find those kind of partnerships, the idea of trusting more and loving more is important in partnership. And if you can't find both of those 2 things, you probably shouldn't be doing business with them. And, the fourth and most importantly is, finding people. And I think I've had 3 interviews on this trip. I've welcomed 2 new senior executives that are just joining our team, a new head of sourcing, our new CMO as well. And again, professionals and really great and beautiful people that are going to make a great addition to our company and to the consumers that love Under Armour.
Kevin, do you still have time for exercise? What is your exercise plan like? I guess many UA fans would like to know about.
Well, I love to eat. And I love food, so yes, exercise is a necessary part of my routine. But I try to train at least 4 to 5 days a week. I have someone who comes over and works out with me. So I have a trainer that I work out with a couple days a week. And then I like to run 5 miles once a week. Like at least one day, in one stretch. I like to know that I can run 5 miles if I had to. So,
wow.
But I do different things, Jacob's ladder and rowing machines, things like that. But when I travel, I love to just run. I love to run a city. I love to feel a city. I like testing our product and trying our shoes. But there's nothing like when you go to a new city and you get to really see and feel and understand the culture and the people.
Kevin, you grew up with 4 elder brothers, right? Does that make you a more tough, competitive, or tolerant person? What kind of experience does that have on you?
I mean, the youngest of 5 boys meant that babysitting in my house was my brothers grabbing me and putting me by my underwear on a hook and hanging me by on a doorknob or something.
You are their toy, huh?
Yes, I was their whipping boy to an extent. But that was okay. It taught me a lot, and I learned that I didn't like being in that position. And so I thought, it gave me a bit of a chip on my shoulder too, and it had me with I'm going to show them someday. And it had me with, I didn't like sitting at the little table when I go home for family events, is that I want to sit at the big table. And I think that idea is part of the you know, it's part of the brand, the culture, the bravado of Under Armour that is very much about leaning forward and winning and competing and not accepting where you are and overcoming and saying, you may know me as the little brother, but I don't want to be the little brother. I want to be at the big table. And that attitude is, it's a very important personality trait, and I think comes through even with the Under Armour brand today.
Thanks for all those positive influence from your brothers.
Yeah, it hurt, but yes, it worked out.
Kevin, now we are at the Taiwan flagship store of Under Armour.
Yes.
The brand was established in 1996, and after 2 years, it entered Japan, and 3 years ago, it came to Taiwan. How important is Asia market in your global strategy?
It's critical. You know, everything, you know, there's a lot of heat that's coming off of China, for instance. But as I mentioned here in Taiwan, thought leadership is very important. But I don't think you can build an Asian strategy without a few of the important building blocks. And so Japan was very important to that. China, of course, is a massive part of that. And I do think that, you know, Southern Asia is very, very important to that as well. And so we found, I think, great momentum is, you know, what's amazing to me is, you know, showing up here with Stephen Curry and seeing the reaction from fans and how much they love seeing him. And like, you know, I don't know if we didn't imagine this reaction, but to see the impact the NBA has here as much as our stars do. You know, the ambition for Under Armour is to build a global company, and I define that by where our revenue size will be greater outside of our home country than within it. And we have a ways to go for that to happen. You know, I think we recorded 13% international revenues a year ago. That number will be up. We were up 68% in the most recent quarter international. And you know, it's quickly growing outside the US, but we want to be the next great global brand. The ambition of the company, and that may sound easier to hear people say that, and I understand how big of a deal it is for me to say that. And I don't say it hopefully with arrogance as much as I say it with a confidence. If I'm a relatively young man, I've got
Of course you are.
I got a great ambition to do this for a really long time. I think that we have an incredible point of view that is not being served to the consumer today. And as long as we can do that, I think we're well within our right to maintain and frankly drive that global ambition that we have of an attitude and idea of how great we can be. I think being an athlete is a mindset, and it's one that I embrace and bring to work every single day. You know, I still look at and think of myself as an athlete. None of that has changed. And I bring that to work, and it comes through, I think, in the competition we have, is that, you know, there's always an athlete or a team that has more resources, and they have, you know, maybe more talent, or they have more this or more that. And you have to envision for yourself how you can get there.